What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Block Hash Podcast channel. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, its price chart. We're going to do some analysis. We're also going to look at the Federal Reserve's decision, Jereome Powell's decision to raise rates again after pausing back in June. Before we get into this, make sure to check out our sponsor, BENFT. BENFT is revolutionizing education. They're doing it through some really cool combinations between artificial intelligence and DeFi methods. Be sure to check out them in the description down below at benft.solutions. They are fantastic. And if you're watching this on Patreon, congrats. You're getting this ahead of everybody else. If you're watching this on YouTube, go sign up for the Patreon for 2 cups of coffee a month. That's it. You get access to the chart analysis Monday through Friday before anybody else. So go do that to support the channel. Really appreciate all of you that decide to. All right, so let's talk about where Bitcoin is at. So just real quick, the Fed raised rates again, another 25 basis points instead of pausing like they did back in June. And this is after interest rates in the U.S. have already come down to about 3%. So seeing an improvement in the economy, his target rate is 2%. I thought he was actually going to pause on this. Sorry, I just heard my dog. So let's read through this real quick. Economic activity has been expanding at a moderate pace, the central bank wrote in its Federal Open Markets Committee statement, citing job gains and a sustained low employment rate, plus U.S. banks have proven to be sound and resilient. The move comes after the central bank paused rates in June, marking the first hold in 15 months. There had been 10 consecutive rate increase rounds prior to last month, a strategy the Fed hoped would curb the highest inflation the country has seen in more than 4 decades. But markets have fretted over whether a soft landing is achievable. In determining the extent of additional policy firming that may be appropriate to return inflation to 2% over time, the committee will take into account the cumulative tightening of monetary policy, the lags with which monetary policy affects economic activity, and inflation. The committee also noted that the Fed will continue to lower its holdings of Treasury securities and mortgage-backed securities. Bitcoin and Ether rallied slightly on the news. The S&P 500 has lost as much as 0.2% on Wednesday morning before the Fed's announcement. I also believe that this is the highest Federal Reserve rates have been since, in 22 years. That's crazy. So at a 22-year high for rates, economy on the brink of diving into a further, deeper recession than it's already in, but interest rates are starting to come down. That is the good news. Overall, this is very good news for crypto. It's going to lend very well to the price action. So looking at Bitcoin, we are still in our upward funnel. As always, we're looking good, making our staircase climb to the upside, in which hopefully Bitcoin will be able to break through this 32,000 barrier, which has been really difficult for it. But if it can, then it's got all of this room uphill into the mid to high 40,000 range, which it could be where we're heading next. Now, zooming in on this, looking at the Bollinger Band, we have broken down a little bit over the past day. We're in our purple zone that we've been watching all the way back since mid-April. Our inflection zone is all the way down here. If we were to have broken that inflection zone as well as this trend line, we'd be looking at a much deeper dive. But fortunately, we didn't even do that, which is great news. I'm going to adjust this up just a little bit. We've held this really well. This whole funnel we've held very well. And I don't think that we're going to come down and retest this inflection zone again. I don't think that we're going to test this trend line again, but it is possible if it happened, we could come as low as 27,000. Another 2,000 drop from here, but we're holding 29,000 pretty good. Looking at the moving average, we are just under the 20 and 50-day moving average, but for Bitcoin on the long-term time scale, that is not as important as is the 100 and 200, which are down here. Every time it hits the 100, and drops just below the 200-day moving average, it rebounds pretty strongly. So Bitcoin has some strong upward support there, which is great to see. If we zoom out a little bit further, in the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is still very, very undervalued compared to where it's been. And it is sitting at a very long-term resistance here that has also been a former floor for Bitcoin around the 30,000 to 32,000 level. So where Bitcoin's sitting right now is a very hard resistance area to get through, but once it does, we're looking at great things. Obviously, all-time highs would put it as high as almost $70,000. With the 2024 halving coming up, I expect Bitcoin to continue rallying to the upside. Give you a little bit of an indication of what I think is likely. Hold on, I'm going to switch back. I expect a little bit of this movement before moving up. God, I am horrible at drawing. I need to get like a pen I can use. I expect this. Now, whether or not we get as high as 40,000 is a good question, but once we break 32, we're going to run quite a bit. And I do think we'll top out around here. Going into the 2024 halving, we'll have a pullback, whatever that ends up looking like. And then as we get into late 2024, which is like a year from now, this is when we start to make the real move, I think, after the halving cycle to not only break our all-time high, but go to new highs. We are overdue for a solid move in Bitcoin at this point, in my opinion. Are we in a bull market? Yes, we are. But we do need to clear this before going to the all-time highs, and we're getting a lot of forecasts for like 120,000, 180,000 by a lot of different asset managers and banks that think Bitcoin is going to pump quite readily. So yeah, we're going to be in for that. I do think altcoins are going to have an alt season this year at the end of 2023 before Bitcoin actually has its big move. I think that'll catch a lot of people off guard. What most people don't really understand is that altcoins seem to move in a 3-year cycle, more or less. So by November or December, I've said this many times here on the show, that'll be the end of the 3-year cycle. So we should see a move. We're seeing that reflect a little bit in certain coins like XLM and XRP after the Ripple SEC verdict. And we should see that reflected in places like HBAR, Ethereum, Cardano, potentially Filecoin, definitely Uniswap. The meme coins will pop up a little bit. That'll be very interesting to watch. In the meantime, though, in regards to the Fed rate, this is something that is not concerning. This is actually pretty good. I think what's concerning is if we start cutting rates. The more that we raise rates or pause on rates, the better it is for crypto. Cutting rates will bring back the US dollar, and Bitcoin is very inversely related to the US dollar. So the DXY is up, Bitcoin usually is trending down. And if the DXY is trending down like it's kind of been, then Bitcoin usually starts going up. I'm going to see if I can pull that up for you. Just to give you an idea. So yeah, ever since the beginning of 2023, we've had this very, very choppy downward move for the dollar. All right. The dollar was its strongest around October, mid-October, which was when Bitcoin was towards its weakest. So if this continues downward and we're hitting lows around 2020, this could spell an amazing disaster for the dollar, but something that's great for Bitcoin. You're seeing the DXY pop up just a little bit to the moving average here on the Bollinger Band. Will that continue upwards to the upper part of the Bollinger Band? Sorry, moving average. I don't think so. I think it'll drop again, and the dollar is going to have some problems for a little while. But yeah, we definitely raised rates pretty quickly, but it eventually piled on and crashed the dollar back down. So that is definitely something else that's in play. I'm kind of curious if you can compare it to Bitcoin yet. But I'll play around with that and I'll see, or I'll just create a chart for it. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Again, we do this Monday through Friday. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, please check out the Patreon and sign up. It's just a couple cups of coffee a month. That's all it costs. All right, guys, make sure on YouTube also to comment your thoughts down below. Want to know what you guys think. Like the video, share it with somebody, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you have already, thank you so much. Cheers, guys.